Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle news update. The Tampa Pro has gone off. That is great news. Day one is in the books, and we have some winners to announce from several of the pro divisions that took place during the course of this day. It's a good sign that actually Tim Gardner was able to pull this off. This is the first big pro show that we've seen, obviously, since the whole quarantine and the COVID virus thing that has hit our world, so to speak. Unfortunately, the international athletes just were not able to make it. I know a couple guys from England were not able to make it, and that's bad news. But the good news is that the people who did make it to Tampa were in the show, and the show went off. And tomorrow will obviously be the men's open, and we'll be highlighting that. But today I want to just kind of break down some of the action here. First of all, I want to say huge congratulations to George the Bull Peterson. Man, oh man, we knew this was coming. We knew he was going to be switching over from Classic to 212. A lot of people, some people thought he was going to kill it right from the beginning. A lot of people thought he was going to have a lot of trouble making that jump, saying that Classic is a big difference from the 212 division. I've been seeing pictures from him and his coach, Justin Miller, my good friend, and I said, this guy should be doing the open. He's so good, and he delivered. He really delivered, and you know what? It just proved to show that he really deserves to be in this class, because the problem was that every time he had to suck down to make weight in Classic, he lost some oomph, some wow from his physique, and here in Tampa, he had all the wow he needed to dominate this division and come home with the victory here. I mean, it was a great victory for him, and I think it really solidified him as a dominating force in that 212 division, and especially when they come around Olympia time, he's going to be one dangerous guy. He beat Bo Lewis from Tennessee, but he beat him unanimously. But Bo looked really great on that stage as well, not taking anything away from him. And in third place, Derek Ostlund, who's always a force to be reckoned with, also a local Tampa guy. But George Peterson, man, great job to Bull. And he proved why he is the guy that everyone's talking about in any division at this point. And it would have been interesting if they would have allowed him to compete the next day in the Open. I don't know why they have this silly rule that you can't compete in both divisions, but that's the rule. So we got to go by the rules, right? Anyway, I want to just once again take my hat off to George the Bull Peterson. Congratulations. You're going to the Olympia in the 212 division now. All right, let's switch gears now over to the Classic Physique division, where I got to just say I love his name. DeAndre Campbell has got the greatest nickname of anyone out there. Holy Hoke. I don't know who came up with that. I got to get him. I got to interview him, and I got to ask him, where that came from, because that is a great nickname. I mean, Holy Hoke, right? I mean, come on, it doesn't get much better than that. When you have a nickname that everyone can never forget, you picked the right nickname. I wonder who gave it to him. I don't. Lonnie Teeper used to nickname all of us guys back in the 90s. I don't know who nicknamed him, but man, he was one happy guy, thanking his wife and thanking pretty much everyone who was involved with the victory, from his suit maker. And look at that great sword. Tim Gardner really gave away some nice stuff. I mean, I'm sure he really wanted the check more than anything, but look at that. He's got the medal around his neck. He's got the sword. He's got the paycheck to go home with, and he's got the Olympia invite. That was worth it right there, right? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that when you can go home with all the hardware. And it was not an easy win, because Divine Wilson was really awesome as well in this class, and it was really a two-man battle. And these two guys beat out Chris Hunt, he won the first Classic Physique pro show that was a few weeks ago. The first show back after this epidemic had hit us, and all the shows had been kind of postponed. So Chris was a champion in his own right, who's going to the Olympia already. He had to settle for 30. It tells you how good DeAndre and Divine were. So great competition here in Tampa, obviously, and that's it's always fun when the show turns out to be good. even in bad times, it kind of makes you forget about what we're going through here and this stupid epidemic and all the craziness that we got going on here. I mean, because it can get very frustrating, I think, for a lot of people when they have to, deal with all the hardships, okay, that it entails to get ready for a show, the money, the sacrifices, the diet, and then you have to worry about a quarantine and putting masks on, and is the show going to happen? Is it not? I mean, DeAndre said he was been dieting since February. I mean, for those of you who don't know what that entails, that's crazy. It's not easy to continue doing that type of a diet with that intensity level for that long. I mean, what happens is after a while you burn out. And a lot of times your body just doesn't respond anymore. And look at this front double bicep. I mean, this pose I would have loved to seen him stand next to George Peterson at the 212. I mean, the three classes, the men's open, the open, the open, the 212, and the classic are so close together now that, I'd love to see a pose down against all these guys at the end of the night, just for fun, I've been saying that for years. I'd love to see the 212 and the open guys pose down, and no one's ever made it happen yet. But now we have a third division. Why not throw them all in there, right? I mean, come on. That's what makes this all so fun. It's the ability to do stuff that's outside the box. But congratulations, Holy Hoke. Great nickname. Let's go to our next class winner, which is Ivy Rain, women's physique champion here tonight. And woo, she's good. She's really good. Let's pull up her picture here for a second and take a look at what we got to work with, because she's I didn't really know much about her, to be honest with you, and she kind of surprised me because her conditioning was so supreme that when I looked at it, I was like, you know what? Here's someone who actually busted their butt and got in the best shape of their life, didn't have a name before coming into this, but said, I'm going to show up at my best. And you know what? That's what these shows are all about. Sometimes a dark horse could come in here and win. And, I don't think she obviously is a great competitor, but, if you had to make a pre-show prediction, I don't know if anyone would have picked her. But she had, look at the glutes and the side leg. You have glute striations from the side with that side leg, all that definition there. You're in shape, and that you're going to be dangerous on stage. And she's got a great structure, and she really dominated this class, pretty handily. And I think that at least in my mind, she really deserved the victory here. And my hat's off to her, because once again, she's going to the Olympia. And that's what it's all about, right? Going to the Olympia, We all want to go to the Olympia at some point in our careers. And this is a fast track there. Hopefully we'll have an Olympia this year. So far, so good. Tim Gardner made it kind of setting a precedent here for all the other promoters out there. Hey, if I can get it done in Tampa, which has the highest rate of COVID infection probably in the entire country now, how he pulled this off, I have no idea. But he did it. If Tim Gardner could do it, then anyone can do it. So I think it's important that these other promoters take a little page out of his playbook and say, hey, you know what? Let's make this happen. All right, let's move on to men's physique, where Andre Ferguson, our good friend, dominated. This guy is I think he's the most consistent guy. He hasn't won the Olympia yet. He's won every other show that known to man in men's physique. And he's a good friend to the show, obviously, and a good friend to me, I consider him. And I'm glad to see him up in that winner's circle again. And you know what? He's a guy, who is not afraid to compete. He'll do the Arnold to win that. He'll do this show. He'll do that. And he'll do another show before the Olympia. He'll take home all the hardware. He's not afraid to compete. A lot of these guys, they compete once a year at the Olympia, and that's it. Look, he's got one guy in his way. And the only guy in his way is Ray Edmonds. And he's beat him before. Unfortunately, Andre just has a history of not showing up at his best at the Olympia. Hopefully this year will be it, and maybe he'll take home that Olympia title, and he'll be the winningest, I think, as far as amount of pro shows won. He's got to be one of the winningest guys on the circuit. He might have the record. I'll have to ask him. I'm sure he has that statistic right at his fingertips, as he always does. So, Andre, congratulations on the big win in Tampa. You were already going to the Olympia, but hey, You got some hardware, you got some money in your pocket. Who's better than you? We'd love to see that. I love to see that. But anyway, let's talk about women's bodybuilding, where LaDawn McDay, she's been a real seasoned competitor. She's been doing it for a long time. She's a veteran for sure. She gets the win here, and she's going to the Olympia, which is really exciting for her because now there's actually a Miss Olympia again. So she qualified for the Miss Olympia, and she'll be competing at that. She's always had the great structure. She's always had good muscle size as long as I know her. The knock against her has always been conditioning. And I think here in Tampa, she was really good, but I think she can still be tighter. And I think if she gets to that level of conditioning that I think I and all the judges probably are looking for, she probably could win the Olympia if she wants with what she brings to the stage. But my point, I do want to bring up something about the women's bodybuilding and women's physique. To me, they're so close together at this point that I don't know who would have won, Ivy Rain or LaDawn McDay. If you put them against each other, you pose those two down against each other, who wins? I almost want to say the women's physique competitor wins. I think Ivy Rain wins. And I haven't seen them together, so I'm just putting this fictitious pose out of my head together. But I think it's so close. And the point I'm making is, I think at this point, women's physique and women's bodybuilding should be combined. There was only like 6 girls in the whole women's bodybuilding event, and to me, that's not really a competition. And I think the problem is there's just not enough new talent coming into women's bodybuilding to make it competitive enough. Yeah, you have your prodigies like your LaDawn McDays, and obviously Iris Kyle is coming back, But the reason why Iris can come back and win and be dominant again is because there aren't any new girls coming into the women's bodybuilding division. So these girls weigh the same thing. I think the women's physique girls are much more conditioned than the women's bodybuilders are now, which it was supposed to be the opposite, right? It was supposed to be that women's bodybuilding were the shredded ones and women's physique was a little softer. That's how it started. It's not like that anymore. It's switched because we're just not getting the conditioning being brought by the women's bodybuilders. And I think it could be that a lot of the women bodybuilders are just older. They're the same girls that were competing 20 years ago. And so I don't know. I don't know what the solution to the problem is, but at least my suggestion would be make it all Miss Olympia. Make it one division. Women's body, you want to call it women's physique, women's bodybuilding, it doesn't matter. And just make the main title Miss Olympia. That's all you got to do. There's no reason for 2 divisions. There's no distinction between the 2 divisions anymore. And I really wanted to bring up one more very important thing before we wrap this little update up. A couple of years ago, I interviewed Michael Anderson. He was a top men's physique pro from the very beginning of the division. And he had an unfortunate accident, and he lost his leg. It was a terrible, terrible thing for anyone to go through. And he lost his leg, and a lot of people would have probably given up and stopped competing. And he's like, I'm going to get back on stage. And he has. And he did here in Tampa, and he won the Masters 40 plus. And he's no spring chicken, this guy. And his physique is awesome. And you can see he's got one leg, but you know what? And he's balancing on that one good leg. He easily beat these guys. That's how good his upper body is. And hey, men's physique is about upper body. It has nothing to do with legs. So it doesn't matter if he's got a prosthetic leg or not. The fact that he can go into the gym and still train with the same ferocity and bring a physique that looks as good as he did to this stage is a true testament to the will that he has and to the desire and the passion he has for the sport. And you know what? That is the epitome right there of you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. Any of you guys out there or women out there who are watching this and feeling bad about yourself because who knows what's going on in your life? You lost your job. Maybe you pulled a muscle in the gym, or you tore something, or you're not making enough money, or whatever the case may be, okay? Don't make excuses why you can't be your best in the sport that you love, because Michael Anderson has every reason to give up and quit and be, feel bad for himself and say, why me? But he didn't. He took that energy and he channeled it and he worked harder. And look at him. Look at the way he looks right now. This guy could not only won the 40 and over, and probably at most other shows, he could have won the open division. He was going against Andre Ferguson, who's, Mr. Olympia, possibly, who's winning the Arnold Classic. I mean, this guy can certainly win a pro show at a local level, in one of these other smaller shows with that physique. And that's incredible. And once again, when I see that, it really inspires me, and it makes me want to work harder, because I say, you know what, if he can do it, I can do anything, So that's what the take-home message here is. And it was a great message, especially given what we're going through with COVID and all the quarantines and all the limitations and the gym closures. I see guys giving up and girls giving up every day. I can't train. I got no place to go. You know what? Find a way to do it. Michael Anderson found a way to do it, and I'm sure it's not easy for him to find a gym to train at. So no excuses, guys out there. Let this be a lesson to everyone. Let this be an inspiration for everyone to be their best. All right, guys. This was a great weekend. It's not over. Tomorrow's the men's open and the figure, and we're going to get a lot of great, fitness. We're going to get some great action on that stage in Tampa. I wish I could be there, but you know what? These are tough times right now, so I got to stay here with my family. But I'm going to continue to report and give you guys updates on what's going on. Tomorrow, we'll hopefully have John Hansen on with me to wrap up the entire event on Saturday. I think he fell asleep on me tonight. For now, though, I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle News Update.